All right, it is 9:30. We will call the Cumberland County Salary Board meeting to order and begin with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Niederer.
I am here.
Commissioner Bashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger. Controller Whitcomb.
Here.
We will open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment to be made before the salary board at this time? Desiree, is anyone appearing to be online to make public comment at this time?
Nope, not at this time.
If you are online and would like to do so, please use the raise your hand feature. Doesn't appear, is it? Okay, we will move on to the approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is the approval of the salary board actions.
Make a motion to approve the salary board actions except for the courts, register of wills, and the treasurer.
I'll second. Someone second. Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And the courts, are they there?
Yeah,
Yes.
I move to accept the,
Make a motion
whatever's
for
on
the
the
actions.
agenda. Make a motion to, yes, approve, sorry.
I'll second it.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The register of wills. So register of wills there. I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve the salary for the register of wills.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
And the treasurer.
make a motion to approve the salary.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
I
Aye. Is there any other business to come before the salary board at this time?
I have no other business. I'll make a motion
Okay,
to
hearing,
adjourn.
thank you, Al. You're quick on the draw, boy. We will go into the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with a roll call, please, Desiree.
Commissioner Niederer.
I am here.
Commissioner Bashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Right. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items to be made at this time that before the Board of Commissioners? If you are online and would like to make a public comment, please use the raise your hand feature.
There's no one online.
No one online. All right. Before we get into the consent agenda, we would wanted to take a moment to honor the memory of our dear friend, former District Attorney Skip Ebert, who passed away on Monday. Skip retired in 2021 after serving the county for more than 25 years. Today, we reflect on Skip's dedication to law and the legacy he left behind. He was the longest serving district attorney in Cumberland County and served as a judge for the County Court of Common Pleas. Over the course of 40 years, he made a lasting impact on criminal justice in our communities, our state, and our nation. Always a forward thinker, Skip founded the Drug Treatment Court, established the Central Booking Center, which streamlined booking procedures, and created a state-of-the-art county forensic laboratory that analyzes blood, narcotics, fingerprints, and DNA. While at the county, he enhanced the Victim Service Unit, ensuring that the district attorney's office consistently put witnesses and victims at the center of the legal process. He was steadfast in his commitment to justice and passionate in advocating for victims and their families. Skip was a Citadel graduate, served our country as an Army captain before graduating from Penn State Dickinson Law School. We will always remember Skip for his tenacity, commitment, and lighthearted sense of humor. Our hearts go out to his wife, Anne, and all who had the privilege of knowing and working with him. We have a member here in the audience that I've specifically asked who is in the challenging position of following in Skip's shoes. But I would ask Sean McCormick, our current DA, if you'd like to make a few words as well.
I would just join in what you have said. Skip left a lasting mark on criminal justice in Cumberland County. And the likes of someone like Skip comes along every once in a while, but it's few and far between when you look at his accomplishments. He had a reputation for being law and justice and order. Yet you look at his accomplishments, so many of them are at the forefront of where we are right now in the criminal justice system. Rehabilitation, where it's important to try to break the pattern of recidivism and treatment court. He was one of the first ones in the state to do a treatment court, the accelerated rehabilitative disposition court that we have here. These things are all a routine across the Commonwealth now and across the country. And Skip played a large part in that. So I want to thank you for recognizing his accomplishments here today. And I also want to join in your condolences to his wife, Anne, who I know is going to be missing someone who is definitely larger than life like we all are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. That we will now move into the consent agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. The consent agenda is a list of routine items that do not appear to be controversial in nature, which seem to not require any additional discussion. If discussion is desired on any particular item, and that would be agenda items number 5 through number 17, now would be the time to make that request.
I'll request a separate vote on item 6, the criminal transactions.
Commissioners, I would ask for approval then of the consent agenda, which would be agenda items number 5 and then agenda items 7 through number 17.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Okay, that takes us then to agenda item number 6, which is any discussion and then approval of the personnel transactions.
I'm in favor of except the expansion slots previously outlined and discussed.
So just for clarity's sake, those items were the positions in the children and youth budget that were approved by the state approximately 2 years ago, and that we are now in need of filling. Again, the Director of Children and Youth has given us a plan. It's been well thought out. These salaries are at a cost of 20% or less to the county. The goal in her reorganization is to do more outreach to families that are in need, and where we are seeing on the back end of lack of that outreach potentially is these complex cases. And I know my colleague Commissioner Fashi has been very involved in lobbying, quite frankly, for support of these complex cases. So I will continue to support her plan, which is part of, I think, delivering good services to the county.
I'm going to ask this question again, Commissioner Eichelberger. Which kids in this county get to suffer from abuse and neglect because you do not want to fund these new positions that will allow for children to be protected, children to thrive, for families to be able to stay together, for prevention of future incidents? Which ones? 80% of these positions are paid for by the state. This is penny wise and pound foolish to not approve these positions. 80% of these dollars come from the state. And I will move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'm in favor of all except those two expansion slots.
Very good. We will move on to the next item.
Okay, so prior to the regular agenda, we have agenda item number 18, which is a public hearing, a TEPR hearing, and I will turn the meeting over to Scott Waller from Gilmore and Bell to conduct said hearing.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, county administrative team for this TEFRA hearing and request. So federal tax, well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Scott Waller. I am bond counsel to Lutheran Senior Services. Lutheran Senior Services is the sole corporate member of Lutheran Senior Services East, which owns and operates Cumberland Crossings in Cumberland County. LSS East and LSS have applied to the Health and Educational Facilities Authority of the state of Missouri to issue tax exempt bonds for the benefit of several projects of LSS and LSS East, including new money in Missouri, as well as refunding of a series 2015 bonds that had, facilities in several locations, including the Cumberland Crossings location. So part of the tax exempt bonds, federal tax law rules, regulations, although neither the county nor even the conduit issuer, the Missouri conduit issuer, has any financial liability for these bonds whatsoever. They're solely payable from proceeds of the loan to Lutheran Senior Services. But federal tax law for the issuance of bonds, the interest on which is excludable from gross income, requires what is called TEFRA proceedings, named after the act in which they were required. TEFRA proceedings require three things. One, a public notice be given, which has been posted in the newspaper and online. Two, a public hearing be held, open to the public, which this is the hearing. And then three, approval by an applicable elected representative. In this case, the county commissioners is the applicable elected representative. And so there's a resolution to be considered later in the meeting of the commissioners that would approve this solely for TEPRA purposes. The resolution includes specifically a note that the county has no liability whatsoever, financial or otherwise, for the issuance of the bonds. The last time the county held a TEFRA hearing for Cumberland Crossings project was in 2019. So same process as before. This hearing is the first part of that. So, members of the public, if they had comments that they may have submitted in advance or otherwise, if they're attending in public, are welcome to make their comments. And then, of course, commissioners, you are welcome to ask any questions you might have. And then similarly, commissioners, if you have questions when we get to the resolution approval, happy to answer those as well. So again, thank you much for your time on this. I know it's kind of a perfunctory, but it is time consuming. So we appreciate the county considering it.
So we need a motion to convene the public hearing.
No, it's already been convened.
Convened.
The next would be asked for any questions or comments by the commissioners or staff.
I actually have a question of you, Keith.
Yes.
I have, my mother-in-law lives in Cumberland Crossings, and I don't know if that would pose any conflict in this nature.
No, I don't think it would.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or any questions from the public? Staff? This time? None?
There's no one online.
No one online?
You declare the hearing closed.
Okay, we can close the hearing at this time.
Thank you. That takes us then to the regular agenda, which is a list of non-routine items that will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. We'll start, of course, with agenda item 19. And this is discussion and approval of the resolution that Scott mentioned regarding the it's 2024-34, which is regarding approving an issue of bonds to refinance a project for the benefit of Lutheran Senior Services East. And I kind of committed to reading this entire thing, but I think I'm just going to stop there because this is, it's long. We just did have the public comment period, but are there any questions, commissioners, before you consider action on this item?
I don't have any. I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, that then takes us to agenda item 20, which is discussion and approval, the letter of support for Carlisle Family I can't read today, YMCA. And we have Michelle Holloway online to discuss. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Basically, we were just asking for a letter of support from the county commissioners. We are looking to expand our outdoor recreation area because of our quickly expanding camp program, and then also looking to renovate and expand our pool due to demand in our aquatic programming. We are reapplying for statewide LSA funds, and then we're also hoping to position ourselves for a new RACP round whenever that would be announced. We were not part of the $600 million RACP announcement that Governor Shapiro recently made. And we also were not successful with the last round of statewide LSA gaming funds. So we are asking for your support. So we are ready to, apply for a new round of public funding for our renovation and expansion project.
Any questions for Michelle?
No, I like the tenacity, Michelle.
Thank you. I appreciate the support.
I'll move for approval. of the
My
letter of
second.
support.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, that takes us then to Elizabeth Grant to discuss and seek approval to permit Solar United Neighbors Co-op to use the county seal in conjunction with other seals of solar co-op partners. Elizabeth?
Good morning. Monica Carey from Solar United Neighbors had presented to the Board of Commissioners at the September 25th Finance meeting. And Sun is currently promoting a solar cooperative opportunity for residents, nonprofits, and small businesses in Cumberland and Dauphin counties. So this request is to formalize the partnership and allow the county to be recognized as a partner and to permit use of the county seal on pre-screened promotional materials and the website. And other municipalities in the county, which are formal partners, are Camp Hillsborough and Hampshire. And Monica's on the line if there are any questions.
Any questions for Elizabeth or Monica?
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
And I will move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to the contracts and grants section of the agenda, and I'll start by calling on Jamie Ryber to discuss contracts for children and youth. Good morning.
Good morning. The first contract I have is for Concerned Professional Services for Children, Youth, and Families. They provide foster care services as well as some residential services and in-home services. Their rates are increasing between 1%, and we do have one that was a giant one that I'm sure you saw in there, 233%. That actually, just so you know, was previously billed per hour, and now it's billed for the whole time that it takes is just the 500. So it's really basically working out to the same amount of money. They just formatted it differently. They are increasing their staff recruitment and retention. They are also implementing a retention and recognition bonus for their foster families. And they're also seeing significant increases in the food, clothing, transportation costs, as well as rent and utilities for the residential programs that they provide. They are also looking into purchasing a new property and building a new supervised independent living program there this year as well. The next one is with Dauphin County Children and Youth. This is a capital request that we had capital project that was already approved earlier this year. We are joining with Dauphin County, York County, and then Cumberland County to purchase a subscription for a virtual reality training program. In year one, we purchased the headsets and the subscription. This is now year two. They have actually expanded the Family First funds to be used until June 2025. So this year's subscription cost will be covered completely by the Family First funds and will have no impact to the general budget as we had originally thought. The next one is Valley Youth House Committee. They provide shelter and independent living services. They have increases ranging from 0.5% up into 13%. They are still within the state maximum allowable. They provide a lot of services to our independent living youth, like I said, who are usually difficult to find foster homes for. They have increases to staff salaries, which has decreased their staff turnover 16% through this past fiscal year. And then also they're seeing the same difficulties with increases in food, utilities, rent, clothing, transportation with their residential programs. They are also certified as a specialized setting facility for several of their programs, which requires additional ongoing training for all of their staff and ongoing upkeep and enhancements to their facilities to meet federal regulations. The last one is with White Deer Run LLC, doing business as Cove Prep. They are an adolescent male sex offender program. We previously contracted with them in the past, but had not for several years. And we actually have a juvenile probation child in that facility right now. They were willing to take him, so we developed a new contract for them for this year. And they are within the state maximum allowable with their rates. Any questions?
I don't have any, and I move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 Commissioners, thank you, Jamie. Next up, we have Jack Carroll presenting contracts for drug and alcohol.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have two contracts for your consideration this morning. One is with Center for Behavioral Health in Harrisburg. The other is Discovery House Mechanicsburg. These are two methadone programs that have the same parent company, Arcadia. We've contracted with them for many years, and the rates for the methadone services and the outpatient individual and group services have not changed at all. What's new about these contracts is that the facilities have added the capacity to also offer a second form of medication-assisted treatment for people with opioid use disorders. That is Suboxone, also known as buprenorphine. And so that is the new part of these contracts. We've listed out the rates and the fees for Suboxone services. Any questions?
Any questions for Jack? Jack, the only thing I would say is it does list it's federal and state funded. Is predominantly the opioid trust funds the primary, or is that a secondary funding source?
That would be a backup funding source, the settlement funds. We're going to use our regular state and federal funds unless we exhaust those. And it's a possibility because there certainly is a higher demand for treatment services these days.
Thank you. Any questions for Jack?
No, and I will move to approve.
Well, second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Commissioners. Thanks, Jack. That takes us to MHIDD, and we have Annie Strite here to discuss contracts and grants.
Good morning, all. I have a total of 5 contracts to present to you. The first two are with our early intervention program. The first is an amendment to an existing contract for Leanne Broadbent, and she provides speech therapy for children birth to 3. This is an increase of $16,862, brings the total contract to $33,208. The second contract is again for our early intervention program. The contract's with Nicole Custer. She provides occupational therapy under the umbrella of early intervention services, and the increase is $15,374, brings the total contract to $34,457. So that's the 2 early intervention contracts. The other 3 are mental health related for adults. The first is with Living Unlimited, and it's a contract amendment. And just as a reminder, given our budget issues right now, we are reviewing all contracts and only issued 6-month contracts. Basically, this is the increase is the additional 6 months to, from January 1 through June 30th. So for Living Unlimited, the increase is $4,722, brings the total contract to $9,444. The next contract is with New Visions, which is our largest residential provider. They provide a vast array of services, predominantly residential, but they also provide social rehabilitation and supported living services for individuals with serious mental illness. So this amendment is for $2,475,620, and it brings their total contract to $5,057,133. And then the final contract is with Penn State Holy Spirit. And again, this is the second half of the year's contracts. So the increase is $1,263,697. And this is to extend that contract through the fiscal year end, brings the total contract to $2,657,157. And Penn State Holy Spirit also provides a pretty significant array of services, including case management services, student assistance, partial hospitalization, intensive case management, crisis. And with that, I'll just ask if you have any questions for me.
To approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners. Thanks, Annie. That
Thank
takes
you.
us then to agenda item 25, which is discussion and approval of the PCCD 2024 County Jail-Based Vivitrol Program Grant Acceptance. And we should have, there she is, Rebecca Finke joining us from the prison to discuss.
Yes, we received the award letter from PCCD for this 2-year no match grant. It's $106,000 for the total, and it will allow us to provide Vivitrol services to persons with substance use disorder, alcohol abuse disorder, I should say, because currently those people would not be eligible under the opioid settlement funds that are supporting our MAT program. So I'm
Any
just
questions?
asking to accept, please.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, that takes us then to our capital projects. And first up, we have a capital project request for the prison. And we have Trevor Beatty here to discuss.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us today. We're requesting capital in the amount of $20,000 for the warden's conference room. Currently, there is no virtual tie-in to our camera system in the administrative offices. So in the event of an emergency, the warden has to physically go to the emergency. I won't take up too much of your time to explain to you how bad of an idea that is. So we've worked with IMTO to get quotes that would basically allow us a system like this in our conference room that would tie into our cameras, so that in the event of, we don't like to say the R word, but riot, he could take command of the situation from our conference room. So cool word for a command center, but that's basically what we're looking for here. The total of the quotes is 17.5. We asked for 20 because the quotes will expire before we can actually move forward with the project. This is part of our 10-year plan for 2025, and we'd like to move on in like early January for the lead times.
Okay. Any questions for Trevor?
No.
I'll move approval.
A second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. We're not quite done with him. We have the next agenda item as well for the training academy. Go ahead.
So the training academy, we have a Department of Corrections approved training academy. Basically, this allows us to do all of our corrections trainings in-house, which was the initial goal of the project in 2022. If with the academy, we save 4 weeks of salary per every new hire, because with the accreditation, we still have to give them 160 hours of in-service training at the jail, but we get to save that 4 weeks of sending them somewhere for Department of Corrections, like certified training. So with the accreditation comes a long-term and vast, wide open revenue stream that we would like to take advantage of. this capital project is to make the academy basically more of an academy as opposed to just a training room. We're requesting $60,000 for the upgrades. It would include another system similar to this one for our second training room. We do have one, tables, chairs, so some carpet tile that is in desperate need of replacement, and just other replacement of heavily worn items. Since we've had accreditation, we've saved about $500,000. And now that we've kind of established the savings portion of it, we'd like to really hammer the revenue play. Like it will never end. We can train any new cadet in the entire Commonwealth for forever until the jail closes. But so it really is a good long-term revenue stream for the prison and the county. We can also do a ton of training for other county staff as well at cost. So any department that needs CPR, any department within the county that has firearms trainings and stuff like that, if they're going outside, we can work with them and certify them here for probably 50 cents on the dollar. Is what they're paying now. So that's what it's for. The total is $60,000, and we're requesting approval for it to start in early January 25.
For one question, which is why the reticence to actually charge
whom?
To the outside? You said you could provide it at cost.
Well, so we would, the outside charge is for like other jails. And basically there's not like a huge profit margin there. We're not trying to gouge anybody. Like, I mean, it's one big team as far as corrections goes. But like, so for example, our academy, if we were to send people to the academy, the DOC charges us $1,300 per cadet. When we bring people to our academy, we charge $350, which broken down is material, labor, hourly salaries and stuff like that. So it's not, don't get me wrong, we're not blowing anything out of the water here. Like, we're not going to bring you guys checks for $2-3 million every year for revenue. But it will be a consistent long-term revenue play.
Okay. Thank you.
And Trevor, I think when you said at cost too, that was also related to more the internal departments than necessarily external. We make sure all costs are covered by the external.
So like CPR is the perfect one. Juvenile probation staff down for certification for CPR. We basically, the cost incurred to that department is just the cost of the card plus the hourly wages of the trainer. Basically, it's as opposed to sending them anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't get the break even, so to speak. So, and it's very easy to bill it from that point because it's just a journal entry. So there isn't a ton of extra work for anybody.
Right. As far as the internal departments,
sure.
A lot of them also, that's one avenue for us potentially to access grant funds.
Right. Yep.
As well. So
Katie and I have actually had preliminary discussions about seeking out grant funding for the total of the project.
Actually, I was referring to if you charge the not at cost to some departments, that they may have grant funds that we would then directly access. Okay. So it's just, I don't know if that's been looked at or not, but I wanted to raise.
I can tell you that I personally have not looked at it, but that is a very good point that I will circle back on.
There may be none at this point, but
we'll find out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And my guess is, Trevor, that if the capital project is approved today, then you would start really fleshing out exactly what that would look like, and you would present that to the prison board. Correct?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other questions?
None for me.
Okay.
No, and I move to approve.
I will second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, next up, we have Bob Shively to discuss a capital project. I'm sorry, nope. I'm turning it over to Bob Shively. Sorry, whatever he's here to discuss.
I can't turn my camera on.
That's okay. We hear you.
All right, requesting your approval of a memorandum of agreement contract between the FCC, State Historic Preservation Office, the Historic Barn and Farm Foundation, and SSC LLC for the Green Ridge Village P25 radio tower in Newville. So that's been a long
questions?
process, and we finally have all the paperwork completed, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward then with the construction of the tower.
Any questions for Bob?
Well, that was just going to be my comment. This has been a long process herding all those cats. So thank you very much for your work on that.
I move to approve.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Bob, and it was good to see you as well as hearing you.
Thank you.
That takes us to agenda item 29, which is discussion and approval of a DCED local share account fund grant application, and we have Katie Zimmerman to discuss.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm here to request approval to apply for a $1 million grant from DCED's local share fund statewide grant. That is the maximum we're allowed to apply for. This will be for a mobile communications unit for public safety, so it'll be a backup 911 as well as can also be deployed to emergencies as needed. The full cost of the project is $1.1 million. So there's a couple of things that I'm requesting approval for as part of these motions, which is the approval to apply for the grant, signing a letter saying that you'll fund the project above the amount, above the grant amount, since we can only apply for the 1 million and the project is more than that. There's a $100 application fee, and then there's also a resolution to execute the grant paperwork. So what questions do you have for me?
I just have one, and I think this was asked before, but I just can't recall how it was handled or if it was answered. So we're new to applying for LSA.
Correct.
And we have many area organizations that also apply for LSA. Is that one of the ones where we frequently get asked to issue letters of support?
It is. So the one for the YMCA that Michelle just asked for is part of this as well.
So that leads to my question, which is, so are we in any way, we're competing against these same organizations?
Correct.
Does that inhibit us in any way, in your opinion, from practically speaking, from endorsing their projects if it's?
I think it depends on what the projects are. I don't think that like the Y, for example, is a very different project than this. I think if there was something that was a more direct competitor, but I do think that that's something that we can have discussions on in the future is when we're applying for grants, do you want to submit letters in support? But that's still money coming to the county and supporting county residents, even if it's not hitting.
Absolutely. But do we have a sense, I know it changes every year, but the pool of money that's available, we probably have a rough estimate of what that is now. Are we anywhere close to hitting that, to capping that?
Can you rephrase that?
The amount that's generated by LSA that is eligible for applicants.
Yes.
Do we have any idea whether I guess what I'm getting at is how intense are we competing? Is there enough money for everybody?
About 20% of applications got funded last year.
I see.
So while we're applying for $1 million, I would be surprised if we got a full million. I would not be surprised if we got a partial award.
I see.
But I would encourage us this is kind of the first step of getting in the queue, and I would look forward to working with you all in 2025 and talking with our legislators about the importance of this project, because I think that talking with them and expressing how important it is for us to have this mobile communications unit will help them bring that money back to Cumberland.
It is a new opportunity. The program LSA has not been around for very long.
Yeah,
so
just a
we're
couple
still
years.
all kind of learning what the
Absolutely. And I think as more people learn about it, it gets more competitive every year.
And each project is evaluated independently. And
Correct.
like you said, if you can gain the support of folks that are making those decisions, that will be hopefully where we can emphasize the need in our community. And while it's certainly difficult to compete with nonprofits in this regard, I mean, the county has not participated in applying for grants in a way that has been, I think, to the detriment of the county. So I look forward to trying to see if we can get some additional money in here. And thank you for your efforts, Katie, in that regard.
So commissioners, just to note, agenda item 29 is just approving the grant application and including the $100 application fee. We'll have a separate motion on the resolution that Katie referenced.
I'll move for approval.
A second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All right, so that takes us to agenda item 30, which is approval of resolution 2024-33, which is regarding the statewide LSA.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
All right, that takes us then to Commissioners' liaison reports and Commissioner Mueller. I'll start with you.
Yes, I had a very busy week and we'll recap a bit of it. I was out in Newville at the fountain on Veterans Day for a lovely ceremony, and quite frankly, it was the most gorgeous, gorgeous day, and was delighted to be to play a part in that. Commissioner Eichelberger and I attended the Shippensburg University Leadership Breakfast, and Commissioner Fasci and I attended the Newville Borough Building dedication, which is pretty tremendous that a member of the community donated the land and the construction costs for that new building, which is lovely. Attended the CADIC Economic Development Fall Event, a CREDIC Executive Committee meeting. Additionally, the Carlisle Chamber hosted a State of Carlisle, which was aimed at tackling the housing crisis, and our own Kirk Stoner was the moderator for that event. And then possibly the highlight of the last 2 weeks was I attended the Shippensburg Produce and Outreach and assisted them in their food distribution, which was a Thanksgiving their Thanksgiving meal that they were providing, and it was over 450 families were being served, and it was just a tremendous event to see folks that had been there all day, retired seniors packing the boxes, to the two Shippensburg police officers that were donating their time helping to pack, and along with the wonderful Shippensburg High School folks that I teamed up with that were there just donating their time, not because they were required to be, but just they wanted to support their community. And the cheerleading squad from the university was also there assisting. Additionally, I had a bunch of meetings that I attended. The Ag Board meeting, the chairman acknowledged members Denny McCullough and Terry Shetron, who is not a member, but for the good work they did in donating tractors and drivers to take goods to the victims of the flooding in North Carolina. That effort was put together by the Big Spring School District and really was a wide community effort. The board approved a rural enterprise request for J&J Partnership and the Wright family to allow 1.4 miles of walking trail to connect the LaTorch Spring Run with South Middleton Township. The proposed trail will be through some preserved farms, but the board found that it was permitted under the law and approved that access. Additionally, there was an update. All preserved farms in 2022 will be closed out this year, and one farm from 2023 has closed. The remainder will hopefully be funded in 2025. I attended the Western COG, and Congressman Joyce's representative gave an update. They are trying to figure out the status of community funding, which is important to many of the fire companies. So stay tuned on that. I guess that the Congress is just trying to get back in sync and plan for what lies ahead. Most of the municipalities present were in the process of doing final mowing, tree trimming, and preparation for winter. And they also indicated that they had their budgets were either have been approved or were slated to be approved. They elected officers for 2025. Corey Wadle from Penn is going to be the president, and Larry Barrett from West Penn is going to be the vice president. Additionally, they approved a board, the board approved some due structures for 2025 and discussed some interest earnings that they had. I also attended the CAPCOG meeting. The guest speaker didn't show up, so it was a relatively quick meeting, but they recapped their board symposium that they held in November that was successful with 30 municipalities participating. It was a joint bid symposium that they hosted. Rhonda, who indicated that there were 25 members renewing for the UCC Appeals Board, and she's awaiting response from 11 other members. They did an update on the golf outing, which was successful and generated $10,000 roughly, with 60 golfers and 90 people attending the picnic. They have also announced that September 15th is the date for their 2025 outing. They provided an update on the SAFER grant, which has really had an impact to the fire companies, which allowed them to have 153 new recruits. So I commend them for taking on that SAFER grant. This morning, I attended the planning department meeting and there were several actions taken. They approved the Middlesex Township Comprehensive Plan, future land use amendment, along with the zoning amendment. The board moved forward the adoption of the comprehensive plan, which will come before this board. Dr. Jurgensen was on hand from the Clean Air Board and provided an update and support for the comprehensive plan. Additionally, a resident of Carlisle provided support for that plan to the board. Just looking over here. Oh, another interesting factor was they're starting to see agriculture operations be a larger use across Cumberland County, and particularly poultry. Poultry is outpacing dairy according to the PA Ag Census, not quite yet in Cumberland County, but it's anticipated that that will be going forward. And Kirk just always does a great job looking for every possible way. He's going to be working with the Susquehanna River Basin to possibly utilize their GIS in identifying groundwater charging areas and preservation of those areas. They did receive 10 responses to the RFP for the solar project. Kirk's busy implementing the bridge program and they're currently evaluating a plan for North Newton under the Cumberland plans. So it was all in all a very good meeting. And I believe that is it. Their full minutes are available on the county's website under the planning department. If anyone has any other things they would like to review. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, let's see, just in sum, we had Recycling and Waste Authority / Committee met on Monday evening. They are dealing with the transition, of course, to the advisory committee status in light of the expiration of the authority itself. The bulk of the meeting was essentially spent on just organizational questions, bylaws. So it's very, nothing particularly policy oriented, a little bit of discussion with some of the new members. There are, as I've reported, we've had a number of those. The authority members have cycled off the board. So Justin has been in recruitment mode for the advisory committee, and we had 4 candidates who were there that evening, and he let each of them address their interest in attending or in participating rather. They were very fine applicants, I may say. So I think that's a reflection of the excellent work that's being done by Judd and his crew on the recycling issue, and just the interest that exists among the public in seeing that good recycling options are available for citizens of the county. So very hopeful that organization is going to come together nicely. I think we've got some really stellar candidates. I was impressed with what I saw. The yard waste program, I really don't have anything to report on that because it does not appear a lot has moved on that substantively over the past month. Just trying to get an update from Hampton Township on where that stands, but I don't think they have very many municipalities signed up. So we'll see if that proposed authority idea that's been floating around for a while gets traction or not. Apparently, most of the municipalities have found some other options available to them, and they are, at least for now, withholding support for the idea of an authority. But we're going to get more information on that as it goes. The time's coming when that needs to be resolved, so we know how this board is going to act in terms of the transfer of equipment and whether there is an authority to transfer to or not. So we have Blighted Property Board met last week and acted on several properties, fairly routine. The only other item, mental health IDD board meeting is, board advisory committee is today. So we'll get the latest info on that, but This board was updated pretty thoroughly yesterday through our human services policy team meeting. So there's, I think, Annie and Mark pretty much gave us everything that's current. So there's nothing I can really add to that. We do have, there's a tour scheduled later today for the Carlisle-based long-term structure residence facility that we are in cooperation with Perry County. That's been open now for, I think, 4 years. And there is a tour scheduled later today. I think maybe.
Yes, I have it on my calendar.
Okay, I'm not going to that. I've seen that facility more than once already. So, but that will be very educational. And as of course, there is a new LTSR that's under development in partnership with Franklin County. So this will give you an idea of you know, what that looks like and how that rolls out and the role that it plays in our community. So they're prepping for that today. I don't know if they're going to have that attended by a lot of the advisory board members. Typically they would. We have a lot of new members, so I'm hopeful they'll go and get a firsthand look at some of the hard work that's been done by Annie and her crew. But the advisory committee meeting is later today. I will be attending that. Only other thing I have is the South Central PA Works, which is the Workforce Investment Board for the 8-county South Central region, met Friday, discussed a lot of potential changes that may be coming due to changes in the as a result of the federal election, frankly. So a lot of what's being rumored and what they're seeing early warning signs of potentially a lot of major change to job training. So they did discuss the 2 programs that I'm sorry to say that we were kind of in line for, but didn't get, which they are pilot programs that the WIB is essentially practicing with, and those are a reentry program that's being done in Dauphin County, where there's a significant need, of course. We would love to have gotten that. That wasn't in the cards. They're also doing a distributed service provision for career links, which was heavily discussed for this county, but that's now being piloted in Perry County. So, but our director there, Jesse McCree, is a very talented individual full of lots of ideas. I think there's, regardless of what the federal government does or says, there are going to be a plethora of opportunities for us to address workforce issues here in South Central. And the one thing that's worth noting is they issued a more comprehensive annual report this year that's somewhat like our planning department's comprehensive plan, where it's very conversational and very sort of down to earth. And Jesse provided that to us Friday. I have a link to it, and I'll be passing that on to my colleagues as well. So you can get an idea of the types of things that they're working on that are forward looking. And I think that's everything I have.
Right. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. That takes us to agenda item 32, which is report of executive sessions. And I would report, but on November 14, 2024 at 9:30 a.m., there was an executive session regarding personnel. And that then takes us to agenda item 33, which is other business. Is there any other business to come before the board today?
Just one item, and I appreciate everyone's indulgence here. Recently, one of my colleagues expressed, albeit unprofessionally, frustration with my community involvement. And so I do take time during this meeting to update people on what I am doing out and about the county. And I wanted to just say a few things about that. That is how I am choosing to do this job. I think it's important that I be out and about and meeting with residents, businesses, not-for-profits. I've not been told that I need to report into people, but I want to do that. I feel accountable to that. I also feel that the employees need to know what we are doing out in the community to represent the county. And I'll be very, very honest. Lastly, my reasoning is I thoroughly enjoy it. And I often will get really wonderful feedback on services that the county is doing. So I will thank you all for these indulgences during this meeting time. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would just note that our next Board of Commissioners, Salary Board and Board of Commissioners meeting is December 5th. And so we won't have one of these meetings until after Thanksgiving. So I would offer up my hope that everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving and get some good deals maybe. If you picked one of those virtual angel tree names, I hope you got some good deals on Black Friday. So that takes us then to agenda item 34, which is adjourn, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.